Take the visual for what it's worth. This week, we are, of course, apart, and it probably tripped a lot of people up because, listen, we did cutscenes, we did the intro, all of us together, knowing that we would be apart this week as I am in an undisclosed location away from home. But Matt, I cannot wait for this weekend. We've got some great fights, and the first one on the card, Manaboi Martinez will be taking on one Guido Cannetti. Matt, I know that Guido Cannetti is one of your favorite over 40-year-old Argentinian men. Of course, Lionel Messi isn't quite there yet, but he will represent the country with PSG. We cannot wait. But Matt, in this fight, it's a little bit of a tricky one because for Mana Martinez, he was originally supposed to get his UFC debut against Jesse Strader last weekend. Strader is out. So then Mana Martinez gets booked with Trevin Jones. I do a graphic. I throw it out there on Twitter. I say, hey, is this finally the fight that Trevin Jones can get after 4 opponents falling out? Nope. Chuck Testa will add a 5th one. And realistically, if you go to Mana Martinez's Instagram page, he put, and I quote, 100% healthy and injury-free. So ultimately, this is kind of a tale of 2 different fights thrown together. Guido Cannetti was originally supposed to be getting one tough out, and my guy, Mario Bautista, that one falls out because he didn't follow Proto Buddy, and there were some COVID protocols that weren't followed. So ultimately, you get this fight. Guido Cannetti's a guy that's trained out of the States. He was at Team Alpha Male at one point to work his wrestling, but if you've ever watched him fight, this guy can throw some heaters for kicks, and he is the most ripped 41-year-old you've ever seen at 135 pounds. He did get suspended by USADA years and years ago, but if you actually go into it, bit of a tainted supplement issue where they popped the supplement, they took a sample. It was one of those really risky type of tainted supplements, and ultimately it was tainted. But from all accounts, like, Guido really tried his best to secure his innocence, I guess you could put it that way. He got a 10-month slap on the wrist, but it definitely wasn't his fault. If you watch him in the UFC, though, 2-6, if you count his stint on the Ultimate Fighter Latin America Season 1, 5 of those 6 losses are by finish. You definitely don't like to see that. His last fight was in March of 2020. He took on your guy, Dana Bakary, and he got knocked out in the first round by a wicked. It was like a hook, but it was a fully extended hook. It was kind of crazy to see. Matt, this guy's bodied up. He's a southpaw kickboxer. What do you have for us on Guido Cannetti?
Okay, Guido Cannetti's better than an 8-5 fighter, right? Like, that's something we can both agree on, right? He's got crazy physical strength. I know his UFC record hasn't been great, but it's kind of like Douglas Lima. Now, trust me, you probably didn't think you were going to hear Douglas Lima being mentioned in a Guido Cannetti breakdown, but hear me out, please. Douglas Lima kind of reached his apex for MMA knowledge almost a little bit too late in his athletic prime. You know, like, once his takedown defense finally got to like 10 out of 10, like we saw in the second Rory McDonald fight, like we saw in the third Koreshkov fight, once it really felt like he got all of his skills together, physically he was starting to degrade at that point. You know, he's a little bit older now. He's not really the same fighter back all the way, you know, even in the Ben Askren fight. Guido Cannetti, he has good MMA knowledge, but the problem is he is a little bit older physically. And yes, we can talk about how great he looks for being 41 years old, but he still kind of moves like a 41-year-old. Like, he's got those explosive movements, but they're sort of stiff. He's not the most fluid of guys on the feet. And if you go back to the Marlon Vera fight, now listen, I know Chito Vera is one of the best bantamweights in the world, so maybe you can't take a lot from that performance, but he did all right for about a minute and a half. He was competitive in some of those clinch areas because that's the real big thing about Guido Cannetti. He's extremely strong in those clinch positions. My issue is he's got his explosiveness for what, maybe 3 minutes at this point, and it gets a guy like Mana Martinez, who's got great boxing, not only moving forward, but moving backwards as well. That's something Cannetti's really got to watch out for, because Cannetti's someone who will jump in and out of range quite a bit, because he is fast for how old he is. I know I talk about how stiff he is, but he's not slow, I wouldn't say. He is going to have to watch out for that, though, especially moving forwards, because Martinez, he's got that great check hook from both sides, and he's not afraid to strike backwards.
Yeah, I mean, if you're really excited about Makmud Muradov on this card, 185 pounds, I think if you like the fighter that he is, you like the prospects out of him, you'll like a guy like Mana Martinez, because he also has that touch of death, and it can hit you in the first round. It can hit you in the third round. He's one of the more powerful guys that you will find in this division. And I had it written down. I mean, he has a round 1 TKO win in 2018 over half one half, that is, of this weekend's Ultimate Fighter season finale, Mr. Turcios. And if you look at it, this is a guy, Martinez, that started in karate at the age of 4. He's a karate black belt. He's a BJJ purple belt. He's a former Fury FC bantamweight champion. And if you go down through it, all 8 of his wins are by knockout. I mean, he had 5 amateur finishes, wins, all of them finishes, all of them in the first round. Representing Metro Fight Club, obviously, you have Micheal as well there. You have Adrian Yanez, and our condolences with Fight Night Picks to Coach Saul Solis, who passed away, last week? So really a big shame there, and definitely big shoes to fill for the next guy that really takes over at that gym. But Matt, yeah, I mean, I went down through, I watched a lot of tape on Martinez for his fight with Trevin Jones, now for his fight against Guido Cannetti, parlay that into Ricky Turcios, and then you look at it, this guy's a really special fighter. You look at the odds. Martinez open to minus 225 favorite. He's a minus 341 right now. For Guido Cannetti, open to plus 185. He's a plus 261. The Tapology votes, Matt, I hope you're not peeking over there because I haven't looked at them. See you later, Matt, on my screen. We're going to get them up. 822 total votes, 92% Martinez, 82% by knockout. And if you look at it for Guido Cannetti, I mean, it might not be the sexiest line. The 5 on in, again, 3-2, lost to Vera, lost to Dana Bakary, lost to Kyung Ho Kong. Those are really good fighters. I even think Dana Bakary is a really neat fighter, especially in this division, because he's got a ton of power. He might look a little stiff, but he's a lot of fun to watch. I think Martinez is that guy. I think it's a little bit of a promotional push. And I even think for Guido Cannetti, he would have struggled against Mario Bautista. So in this fight, I have Martinez. I'm fairly confident in that one.
No, I agree 100%. This is an underhand toss if ever there was one. And it's nothing against Guido Cannetti. It's just, this isn't even Guido Cannetti at 38 years old. You know, like that fighter at least had a little bit more gas in the tank. I just don't think he's in his prime or really even close to it at this point. And I do think Martinez has a decent ceiling in this division.
Will you let us know down below in the comments section if you're from Argentina? If you are a Guido Cannetti fan, I want to hear from you. We could be totally upside down and wrong, but Matt, both of us going with Martinez in this fight. I can't wait for it. More split screen predictions to come, including our Ultimate Fighter finales. You've got Battle taking on Urbina. You've got Turcios taking on High Stand. You're not going to want to miss that. Keep it locked in with Fight Night Picks. And as we always say, let's get into it.